Hey there, and welcome to today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. As I went through the shopping center the other day, if you follow me on social media, you would have seen it. Yes, not only have I found fruit mince pies inside of the supermarket, but I also found my first Christmas tree inside of a department store. Why am I telling you this? Because if you are not telling your customers that they need to be in the Christmas spirit and shopping with you now, then they're going to be spending over in the department stores. And so when it comes to you getting around to advertising, they've long since spent their money. Now, last week on the podcast, you heard from the incredible Cynthia Summers on how she made $17,500 in just 5 hours. And I thought this was a really great episode to share with you because it just goes to show you don't have to do anything special to be able to create cash flow in your business. You just need to be looking at what's working, looking at what needs to go, following your numbers, and do something about it. So I didn't know Cynthia's story, but I called her up, or she put her hand up to come up live at TRA Live and do an order of her time. And she came up, she mentioned to me, "Can I tell you about my sale?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." Just like today's conversation, I did not know where this conversation was going to go. I had no idea that Ashley was going to tell me that she made $60,000 in just a handful of days. I love these stories, and I got permission to share this one with you. So thank you so much, Ashley. But why is this important? Because, I always bang on about not discounting products and not having sales. The simple fact is there gets to a point in your business, let's be honest, 50, 100, 200, $2 million worth of aged inventory. That means you got to go all out to try and get rid of it. And sometimes you are going to be in a position where you're going to have a sale. Enter my crazy successful sales campaign in a weekend, and most importantly, my ultimate promo run sheet. That is the same thing that both Cynthia and Ashley and Dion have used to be able to generate $30, $60, and $17,500 in just like less than a weekend. So to me, that means that these people went through the program just a couple of hours and created their ultimate campaign. So they're lucky enough to be able to get access to that program inside of my 5X framework. But if you are not in my 5X framework, you will not have my ultimate promo run sheet and my amazing quick to run through program called How to Create a Crazy Successful Sales Campaign in a Weekend. Today, you're going to get the highlights. You're going to get like the cheat codes on how you can create a promotion for your business. But if you want the full details, if you want all the information, I have put together my How to Create a Crazy Successful Sales Campaign in a Weekend, along with a bunch of other goodies and bonuses into my ultimate Black Friday sales bundle. And you can grab that over at selenaknight.com/BF. Why the heck am I promoting Black Friday, Cyber Monday at the end of September? Because, my friends, if you are not using this opportunity, and most importantly, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, to test out your offers, to see what is working and what is resonating with your customers, what is making them buy, then you're going to lose out to your competitors come the big weekend. Or even more importantly, you're going to put an offer out there and put efforts in and maybe even drive advertising to it. And let's be honest, advertising over Black Friday, Cyber Monday is expensive because everybody wants a piece of the action. But if you don't know which offers are going to convert, then it's likely you're going to end up wasting your money. So this, my friends, is the perfect opportunity for you guys to be testing out offers because the economic landscape has changed dramatically. And what worked last year and the year before most likely is not going to work now. So this is your opportunity to be testing things out and using my How to Create a Crazy Successful Sales Campaign in a Weekend and my ultimate promo run sheet. You are going to set yourself up for a very, very lucrative Black Friday, Cyber Monday, which of course leads into the Christmas rush. So if you're taking opportunity, if you're building out your marketing plans right now, head on over to selenaknight.com/B for Black, F for Friday, selenaknight.com/BF, and you can grab my very limited time offer, Black Friday Ultimate Sales Bundle. Alrighty, let's jump into today's episode with the amazing Ashley as she walks us through how she made $60,000 in just a handful of days. Alrighty, take it away, Ashley. Hey there, and welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. If you're looking to get more sales, more customers, master your marketing, and ultimately take control of your retail or e-commerce business, then you're in the right place. I'm Selena Knight, a retail growth strategist and multi-award-winning store owner whose superpower is uncovering exactly what your business requires to move to the next level. I'll provide you with the strategies, the tools, and the insight you need to scale your store. All you need to do is take action. Ready to get started?
How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. It's 2:00 and it feels like about 6:00.
So, yeah, I feel like that. Like, oh
I've been
gosh.
like Zoom after Zoom after Zoom after Zoom. And then I said to my husband, I'm like, oh, I'm just looking at my next one. She might turn up, and that's okay because I messaged you at the same time that our ops manager rescheduled you. And so I was like, if she doesn't turn up, like, it's okay. I won't be cranky.
I was really confused. I was like, sure, Monday at 4. Then all of a sudden, I just happened to look at the thing that said, your meeting's coming up in an hour. I was like, what? Did I read that wrong?
I know. Too many people trying to do this. Is why I should just not do the tech stuff that my team are paid to do, because I just break it, really.
Fair enough.
It's like I was on some sales calls this week because I had to do some training for a new team member, and someone's buying, and I'm like, yeah, look, I don't really do these calls, so I just have to find the link and I just have to work out how to schedule you in. Like, this is why they don't let me do these calls, because this is not my job.
Yeah, this is where I get lost.
yeah, like, I can sell you stuff, but then I have people for the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's funny.
Oh, how's everything going?
Well, I feel like I could probably sleep for a week after the last 2 weeks that we had, but yeah, no, everything went really well, so that's good, considering that it was a bit of a on the whim, let's do this and throw this together type of thing. So we ended up basically like renting a site that was just within a couple blocks of where our site is, and it was kind of a twofold exercise, because it's the site that we have looked at as a potential place to move to. So it was a good kind of feeler of what the space is like, but also what the foot traffic is and things like that. And then we did a warehouse.
How much stuff did you have before you went in? Like, what retail price? How much stock was there?
Retail would have been, for what I took, around 270 to 280,000.
How did you let that much stock pile up?
It's a good question, Sal. It's a very good question. Yeah, like cost was like, when I put in that post that it was a very confronting exercise, it was a very confronting exercise, because $140,000 worth of cost stock hadn't sold in 90 days.
Wow. And did you go through those same emotions that Dion talked about? Like, she was saying that she was in tears picking stuff up.
Oh yeah, I must have spent, I don't even know how many hours, like going through the list and going through it again, and like, no, okay, no, and having to take that point and then going, but that's so nice. And I was like, no, it hasn't sold. I kept going back to that, it hasn't sold. And then it came down to like pricing it and stuff. And that was a whole other exercise, because it was like, you're so driven and programmed to make profit, but if it's just sitting around, And when you have that much just sitting around, yeah, I must have gone back and, after I finally came to terms with, no, this is the stuff and you just got to suck it up. And that's what it is. Cause it is, it's highly emotional. And then, so then going through the pricing model for it, I must have switched that probably about 3 times as well, and just kind of like kept increasing the discount because it's like, this is your chance. You've got to try to move as much as you can,
Because you don't want to do this more, like, let's be honest, if you're going to do it, you don't want to be, oh, we do this on a regular basis, because I'm thinking of a store near me that I actually love and I pay full price.
Yeah.
But it's forever going on discount. And I'm like, you don't need to do, like, your stuff is so nice. You actually don't need to do it. And it kind of just cheapens the whole experience. Whereas it's a one-off or, maybe twice a year or something, it's kind of like, oh, cool, bargain, instead of, oh, but I paid full price for that, 3 weeks ago.
Exactly. And to be fair, that was a really hard part of the whole exercise as well, because I knew our outlet stuff, the outlet stuff was like, all right, yeah. And, probably 90% of it was sitting in bins in the back. And it was like, yeah, okay. But then it was probably, that was a really hard one from the stuff that was still like on the floor. And then it was like, okay, yeah, well, what if someone has come in and they just bought it, and, that type of thing. And that's the stuff I kind of kept going back and forth on a little bit about, like, well, should I be putting that in or should I not be putting it in? And
what did you decide?
What's that? Sorry.
What did you decide?
I ended up putting it all in. Yeah. I was like, if it's on that list, it's going in. So I did very much stick to it, which kind of surprised me. But yeah, then that pricing side, because that's the thing. I was like, I do not want to be doing this, all the time. It's a, like you say, maybe it becomes an annual event. I don't know. But, for particularly the amount of work took. And one of the things we did to try not to like cheapen the brand a bit was because we get compliments so many times on our shop and the boutique and the look of it and all that kind of stuff, was like, the space we rented certainly wasn't warehousey. But then, I'm very fortunate because my partner has an engineering business. So like he had made the racks for our clothing. So he made racks for the warehouse sale. So that kind of like tied back in. And we went to the effort that we, hung all our clothing and all that. So it wasn't just the rifle through the bin experience and things like that. And people lapped it up. And I do think it helped us move more stock as well. It was a hell of a lot of setup, And I'd gone so far as to print labels that was like the was price crossed out, the new price, you save X% highlighted in yellow. It was like, let's make this as clear as possible for people. And so, we didn't have any issues with like, well, how much is this? Or trying to match if it's got a red dot or a green dot or, any of that. I was like, we went to all those extra lengths that I do think helped to, kind of elevate that experience. Took it probably like a little bit of step further with the VIP thing, and we did like a VIP night. So we did like the Thursday night, we did 3 hours for VIPs. So I took, the top, what was it? I can't remember the threshold I set anyway. It used, yeah. So sent the email out. So we had, I think our invite went out to like email wise, it was between 50 and 60 customers. And then we did a social thing like what Dion had done, and like totally amazed by that. Like, because we were sitting there going, you start to plan something and you're putting all the effort in and you're going, oh my, like, are people going to come or not? And it was like,
it's really crossing your fingers and hoping.
100%.
But it's crossing your fingers and hoping with an actual strategy, which I think is the big difference. It's not just like, I'm going to have a sale, will someone come? It's like, hold on. Yeah. We have put all these steps in place to maximize it.
100%. Yeah. And you could see it was like, set up a Facebook event for it as an example, and then people would start to comment. So then we ended up extending the Instagram, like we had the contest running on Instagram, our Facebook page, and then we shared it in the event group, but then of course people were commenting in the event. So we're like, what the hell? We'll just draw a couple people from here too. And that was probably one of the turning points for us in the whole thing, because then all of a sudden people were like, oh my God, it's like Christmas. Oh, thank you so much for drawing my name. I can't wait. Oh my God, my friend won. Like, do you need our names? Like, do we all have to come together? Can we show up at different times? Do we have to stay for the whole time? Can I bring my child? You know, like all that, and all of a sudden we're like, oh God, like people are really
It's just a sale, people.
and we took it, like we did probably take it to the next level, and it was, you know, slightly more expense, but well worth it. Like we had some bubbles, and we did like a real VIP experience, and so you got the chance to show up early, come have a little nibble and some bubbles, and my God, like people were coming up, they're like, my friends are so jealous. I was at playgroup before this, and oh my God, like everyone's so jealous that I'm here before them. They're coming tomorrow morning. We're like, okay. So that first night, the VIP night, I think we did just shy of, I'd have to go back. My brain is just mush from this, I'll be honest.
Before you tell us, yeah, all of us, what was the goal on the VIP night?
You know, I hadn't actually set one for the VIP night. I just set one for overall.
Mm-hmm. What was, okay.
So my goal overall was 30,000 30,000 cost was my goal for the event. I thought if I can move that much, without having.
So just $30,000 cash collected. You just want $30,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
That's quite. Do you know what? To be honest, if you and I had that conversation, I would have said that's way too low on $200,000 worth of retail stock.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably would have. I was very nervous about that goal. I was like, I think again, having not done it and not knowing, like Dunedin, where we're at, has a real problem right now with downtown and retail because they've been doing construction for so long. Like there's a real hate on for it, and there's no parking and this and that. And that was like, you know, it was kind of like, shit, well, you know, are we doing it in the right place? Are we doing, you know, like all that kind of stuff was like, So yeah, I thought, well, if we could do that, I'd be happy. Like, not.
Right, I'm going to write a number down because I don't know how much you did on this bit of paper of what I think you should have taken. So I'm going to leave that there. You can tell me all that. So how much did you do on the VIP night, which was 3 hours?
Yeah, it was just shy of 8,000 on the VIP night.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was a nice way to start things off for sure. The next morning, we opened up at 9, and we were kind of like, you know, everyone was still buzzing from VIP night. Like that was pretty cool.
Did they come back? Did any come back?
What's that? Sorry.
Did any of the VIPs come back?
Yeah. Yeah, we had several people that came back several times through the weekend. So yeah, then we opened at 9, and all of a sudden, like, we're like, oh, there's a lineup here. Okay, so that's cool. And
did we get video of this?
No, we actually ended up so busy that we were like, why didn't we set the GoPro up? Why didn't we do this? Why didn't we do that? Like, because it just, yeah, we were all kicking ourselves after. So my partner had said to me, he's like, oh, I'll probably stop by like 11 and just see how things are going. But if you need me, just like need me before, just send the SOS. I went back and checked my text message. It was 9:07. I messaged him and it was like SOS with a bat emoji. Like, you need to get here now. So we had 2 tills because I just like, I looked down, I was helping a couple people. I looked up and there was like 50 people in just milling around. It was like, okay, all right. So, yeah, it was just that first hour was like, the first hour was the best hour of the day. And I think that hour was just shy of 7,000.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I went back and calculated after. I was like, because when I was trying to work out calculations and things like that, I was trying to work through in my head, okay, like realistically, how many transactions could you be putting through and things like that, and going average order value of what our average order value is and stuff like that. So I was very impressed to see how much we could actually scan through in an hour. So we had two tills running. Yeah. So anyway, that day finished just shy of 26,000, I think was that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then, sorry, I was just going back to double check. My numbers are all mixed up in my brain now.
So we're up to like 34.
Yeah. And then, sorry, that day did 27,000. And then then the the Saturday was definitely slower, but was still like 12,700. And then the Sunday we ended up because we were like, wow, this is our last like kick at it before we put it online. So then we'd taken similar idea to what Dion had done in hers and did like buy 5 or more and get an extra 10% off. So we increased that to 20% on the Sunday. So Sunday ended up being 4.8 at point of sale. And then we took it online. And so the online did 3.7 on the Sunday. And the Monday it did 40. Yeah, we were 4,100. Or online's 3.4. And then we extended it to we ended it Tuesday night at the end of it. And so it did another 2.6.
So for the grand total of?
So 63-ish. See, there we go.
And I did not know. And my piece of paper says $60,000.
Woohoo!
So how do you think? What was your original goal? You said 30.
30, and then I went, okay, stretch 50. Mm-hmm. So managed to exceed that as well and end up at the 63-ish or whatever it was. So so it was like,
congratulations.
Thank you. It was it was huge. It's taken some weight off. Like I still feel, obviously there's still stuff sitting there that we still need to move, but I mean that's massive in a weekend. And it was massive for our team, like because we hold everything, well, mostly like Regan and I, we had hold all the stuff there, then work till 11 o'clock Monday night to make sure it was all back at the shop. Then there's the fulfilling the online orders after, with stock still kind of in shambles from being moved back. And and even just, I mean, we've never had queues and things like that to deal with in the shop. Like we're all just like, holy shit, like, okay. And all of a sudden we were charging iPads up and stuff. We're like, oh God, we've never had to charge the iPad during the day before.
and have you done $60,000 in like 3.5 days before, 4 days?
No, never. Like I was looking back and, kind of one of our best periods was that Black Friday period in 2021. And I think we were like 50, I think it was something like 50 over like an 8-day period. And that's combined online and, point of sale. And I think, and what looking at it was like point of sale was like 10 or 12,000 or something over that period, so I mean,
because Black Friday, Cyber Monday is more online, isn't it, really?
Yeah. And we were still, relatively new at that point, like in town and stuff like that. So it was just, I mean, everyone was just a bit shell-shocked, to be completely honest.
But are they excited? Are they excited about the fact that, one, clearly you guys have some brand loyalty, and 2, it's time to think a little bit bigger? Like, yes, you discounted stock, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you were selling. It matters how many transactions were going through the till.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was just, I think like a bit of a renewal that everyone needed, because it's like I say, like it's been really tough for retail downtown where we're at and stuff like that. And of course, there's so much negativity with recession and all this kind of stuff that, to be able to see that many people come through. And then like everyone was getting more excited when you had people coming back again, and then they're bringing their mom and they're bringing their grandma or their aunt or whatever. And I've sent my sister in now. The husband's coming in after work. My wife sent me in to get this. Do you know if it's still here? Like, so it was really, really cool to see. And it was just nice to see the community come out and support as well. Cause it's, nice to see everyone's, cause Dunedin's a bit funny because Dunedin's, like a lot of towns, like you've got that real mix. You've got the people that are absolutely like the boutique, but then so Kmart closed here a few years ago, and like they organize bus trips to drive 2 hours on a bus to go to Invercargill, like where there's a Kmart, and go shop. Like that's the kind of demographic. which I can't think of anything worse to do, but
I love a good Kmart trip.
I mean, I like a Kmart trip. There's one in
I don't know if I
Queenstown.
drive 2 hours.
Yeah. Let's say we usually pop in when we're in. Regan won't go, but I'll pop in when we're in Queenstown. I would never sit on a bus to go to Kmart. Nah. But that's what people would do, right? So it was like, and it's. We were joking through the weekend. I was just like, oh my God, someone would come up and buy something, and you're just like, the pain involved with seeing the price, walk out the door, but it was like cash in the bank, cash in the bank, cash in the bank. So it's about cash in the bank. Like, yeah. So no, it was, I think all in all, it was a success. And like everyone, even dropping, one of the kiddos off at preschool, they were, like, oh my God, they came. And because that was another thing we did, was like reached out to a lot of the preschools and stuff like that. Like, can you share this for us and stuff like that, which a lot of them did, which is great because that's just free advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'd done that, and we did the Facebook event, and then we had a little, a Facebook ad on as well. But stayed away from, because in the past, like Black Friday and stuff, tried the newspaper ads and things like that, because the concern was, well, how do you hit the grandparents and some of that demographic? And it was like,
grandparents are on Facebook.
Oh, and that's what I kept saying to the girls. I was like, well, a lot of them are, like, and to be fair, I said, and I can guarantee you're going to have the spread effect where the children have come in and then they're bringing the grandparents back, which hands down, and the kid might have spent $40 when they were in, and grandma walked away buying $300.
$400.
Yeah, exactly. This is like,
love grandmas who shop.
Like the grandmas who shop are the best thing in the world. And it's funny because like
so much,
particularly, like having the store, you see that more because of course, like when online it's a name, right? And some of them you kind of get to know if they email through and things like that. So there's a few that we got to know, but when you're actually seeing them face to face, you're like, oh yeah. And then you're like, oh yay, Grandma Karen's back. Yay.
We used to have that too.
yeah, it's like so good. And then I was gonna say the other thing we managed to do was which I wasn't sure we'd be able to do, but we did, was we captured like over 200 new email addresses. And then I sent out a follow-up on Wednesday night, like a big, huge thank you for your support, rah, with here's a $5 off a $50 purchase in our store, like trying to encourage them to now come in the store and check us out. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I left it open till kind of the was it the 12th of July or something like that, so give them a couple weeks to be able to come in and have a peek. But yeah, it was, I thought, oh, how's this going to go, because we'd said that you wouldn't accrue loyalty points on the on the warehouse purchases. And so, we were a bit concerned about, well, does that disincentivize people to sign up? But man, and even like Regan was standing there and he was like, holy shit, I can't believe how many people are signing up. I was like, I know.
I mean, that in and of itself, like, I will happily pay like up to $20 or $30 for an email address, which people freak out about. But actually, if you understand your customers, spending $20 or $30 to get an email address, they don't have to make one purchase and they've paid for themselves.
Yeah.
So even if you take, so let's call it $20 times 200 people, like you would have paid $4,000. So you can almost add another $4,000 onto your revenue in terms of those email addresses that you've added in.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that actually. Yeah, no, it was I that part I would have to say really surprised me, and I was actually surprised to like at how smoothly it still went. Like, it didn't really stop the flow. I can't say that it took that much longer to check people out doing it and that type of thing. Because I thought, oh, is that going to slow it down? Are people going to want to, or if they see a line or whatever? But, and then, and even when they came back, they're like, oh, make sure you put it on my account. And you're like, okay, sweet. Like, you're not getting points today. That's fine. And yeah, so they did. So yeah, I hadn't actually thought of that aspect, but I was really stoked that we were able to capture that many just for, the remarketing factor and whatnot. But yeah. So I think, particularly considering I feel like we were really flying by the seat of our pants. And I do think as well, like investing in, the space we rented was, it certainly wasn't cheap, but it was very, very high foot traffic as well. So I think the money we would have spent on traditional newspaper or radio or whatever, we invested that into a high profile site, which then I know we were getting walk-bys, because even Monday when we were taking stuff down, there was like 20 people trying to get in the doors, in the morning and things like that. So
did you let them in?
We were sitting there. We wished we'd had everything set up like to be able to. Otherwise, we would have, because we were like, but we didn't have an iPad. We didn't have an FPOS thing, and it was like, yeah,
things to learn for next time.
Yes.
Always have a way to take people's money.
Exactly. We're like, because we were shocked. We're like, holy shit. But but even that in itself was an interesting exercise, just to see how many people were around versus like being a couple blocks over and stuff like that. I mean, obviously warehouse sale effect, and all that as well. But it was it was a very interesting weekend.
I am very proud of you. Can I just say that?
Thank you.
I know how, like, let's be honest, it's quite traumatic. Like, traumatic in a, like, oh my God, I've got to get this stuff out. And then traumatic in, I'm emotionally and physically and mentally exhausted, because that was way more than I ever expected. But also that realization of, holy shit, like, we can do, like, look at what we just did.
Yeah.
Not only can we do this, we look at what we did. And I mean, you know me, discounting is never my first option. But when you have over $200,000 worth of stock, no amount of bundling is going to get that stuff out that quick. And for that little amount of investment, you're still going to have to be advertising and marketing and all that kind of stuff. And the longer it sits there, the longer it costs you money.
Yeah.
Whereas in 4 days, you were 60 grand in the bank.
Yeah. So
what are you doing with the 60 grand?
Well, I've had to pay a lot of bills. So I was like, wages sucked yesterday. It's like, wow, that was a really big week. So trying to catch up on a few things, trying to get some fresher stuff in, and then I want to be able to then invest in myself a little bit in some training and not get on this problem again. And also probably try to figure out how to finish resolving this problem. I mean, I guess the nice thing is a lot of the older stock went, because like I say, there was some stuff that we just ended up hadn't gone to outlet yet, it was still on the shelves. But a lot of the stuff that had been sitting there and had been sitting in the outlet then, and that a lot of that moved through. So that was, quite good. So, not ideal to still have stale stuff. Like I can completely appreciate that. But if there's a bright side, it's slightly fresher stale stuff.
I have to laugh. Someone posted on one of my ads a comment that said something like, making sure that we have stock on our shelves and not running, said something like, making sure that we have stock on our shelves is the only reason that we're still in business. Something along the lines of, not everything has to move. And I was like, and I remember writing back, I was like, you should always have stuff on your shelf. Your stuff on the shelf should never be there for more than 45 days. Like, you should have turnover. But that mindset of, I always have to have things on the shelf for people to buy, versus I can sell that and buy it again and get the cash flow, is something that most people can't get into their heads. Yeah. Is that something that you struggled with as well?
Yeah.
Do you think that's why you accumulated so much?
I think so. And particularly after we opened the store, it was that real sense of, well, we can't have it looking empty, Yeah. And it was hilarious because we went in, like Regan and I went in on a Sunday. I'd sent the girls the list and they'd been pulling stuff, right? And then, one of the girls had largely finished up on the Saturday, and we went in Sunday and we're like moving everything out. Like one of the girls went in Monday that hadn't been there Friday, Saturday. She was like, just like, looked like it's been robbed. And I said, well, you just got to be a bit creative, because we'd got in some new games and things like that. But of course, they hadn't really been put out and merchandise and stuff like that. I said, well, put all that stuff out, and, if you need to have 2 out on the shelf rather than 1 on the shelf and in the back, do that to fill it in. Like I said, there's still a shit ton of stock here. Like, we're not low on stock. So yeah, you just got to get creative and fill in the spaces. And yeah, it's going to look different because it's different stock too. So yeah, that's definitely a tricky mindset to wrap my brain around.
I just think about from a customer's point of view, like seeing the same thing every time they walk in versus the store looking fresh and new every single time. That creates such a different environment and such a different buying opportunity, that when you've been inside of that, like, yes, she had that initial, but actually from a buyer's point of view, one, it's stale and I'm sick of looking at it. So realistically, my dwell time is going to be much lower because I've seen all of this before. But two, it's cluttered. Like, I can't see the new stuff for the old stuff. Like, it all just looks like it's always been there. Whereas, that's why when you go into high-end boutiques, there's like 12 things on the rack. But those 12 things change all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. It was like, even for myself, going in after the other stuff was put out, I was like, oh, this looks really great, and it was just, just fresh. And even that in itself felt a bit like, okay, that's good, because I knew in my head, like, okay, well, yeah, some of that stuff's getting pretty stale sitting there. And absolutely, like, as a customer, I'd be like, wah, wah, seen it before, so quite nice. And then nice to be seeing it going, moving through. It's like every day some of that new stock's been selling, and you're like, cool, that's great. That's what we want.
Because people are looking at it. They're not cluttered. They're not, oh, I've seen all this before, so I'm not looking for the thing. It's like, oh, that's new, like piquing their interest and getting the brain synapses going.
100%. Yeah. So I do hope that, that it's a bit of a turning point. Like I say, I mean, I know that there is still stuff to move, but I'm hoping that, like, we've got Black Friday coming up, we've got our birthday promo coming up, because we try really hard to stick to 3 store-wide a year, and that's it. Like, seems to be changing slightly. It's like far out. Everybody, their dog's doing a sale constantly at the moment, which makes it really tricky. But so we've got a birthday promo coming up in July. But and it's like, okay, well, let's see if hopefully we'll do a promo on the outlet stuff to hopefully move some more of that through and make sure that collection's cleaned up online before then. Because that was the tricky thing too, is like, stuff was selling out, and I'd had it set up in an app to move the sold outside stuff to the bottom, but it hadn't worked. So I was going in and trying to archive stuff and clean it up, but it just couldn't keep up. So have a good cleanup of there, and then it's quite fresh for when people go on. It means same products, but they'll probably see different things because it's just
different
cleaner.
Formats and,
yeah. So
all right. So that's Cashflow roller coaster. We had an awesome boost. How do we stop that from happening again?
That is a very good question. It made me realize I need to run a report like that number one, keep a tighter control on inventory, which I have already been doing for probably the last 6 to 9 months. Been trying to like be very, very conscious of that. And in that regard, like, I've stopped working with suppliers that have like big MOQs and things like that, because it's just like, we've just found like, we don't need 8. We might sell 4, and then the other 4 sit there. Like, it's just one of those things. So trying to be a lot tighter on that. And then probably, being a lot more ruthless with and diligent about running that report on the, what hasn't sold in 90 days, and removing that emotional attachment, going, no, it needs to go to the outlet at that point. And then, probably look at seeing what those levels are like, but then look to do that annual warehouse sale or something. I don't know. I mean, rather not doing it.
I was going to say, if you don't need to do it because you're managing your stock better, then you don't do it.
And that's the thing. Ideally, because people were asking, "Oh, are you going to do this again?" And we're all going, "Oh, good God, I hope not." Like, we're all sitting there going, we're not doing this for fun. Yeah, perfect world, never have to do it again. That would be the ideal scenario. But yeah, and so I am like very, very conscious of trying to keep quite a tight handle on that. And I would say, yeah, probably have been far more strict on that and mindful of it. And I think also a little bit more experience now in watching the shop and seeing, I guess, having a bit better sense of like what people are buying in store and things like that too. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
So if you could do all of that after one conversation, that's pretty impressive, right? Imagine if you were having that conversation like all the time.
Oh, 100%. And I do know that's what I need. And that's what I need to be able to focus and stay on track and figure out, because I think that's the thing for me now is like, I mean, I knew that the inventory thing was huge for us and we needed to do something. We needed to do something sooner than later. So I was like, let's do this and get it done. And now it's kind of like, okay, so we've removed some of that stress. So what do we need to do next? What's our next best move to, stop it from happening, but also to be able to grow. Because we still want to be able to grow. And as much as everyone talks doom and gloom, there are still people spending money.
Still people spending.
So that's a wrap. I'd love to hear what insight you've gotten from this episode and how you're going to put it into action. If you're a social kind of person, follow me at @TheSelena and make sure to leave a comment and let me know. And if this episode made you think a little bit differently, or gave you some inspiration, or perhaps gave you the kick that you needed to take action, then please take a couple of minutes to leave me a review on your platform of choice. Because the more reviews the show gets, the more independent retail and e-commerce stores just like yours that we can help to scale. And when that happens, it's a win for you, a win for your community, and a win for your customers. I'll see you on the next episode.